Hello, everyone. This is Lily Luna, and this is my review of the Dustin McPhetridge police interview, my analysis. I'm really excited about this. I've been wanting to do this for a while, and I just never really did, and obviously until now, because it's been done so many times before, very well, probably better than than I will do. And I just didn't want to be, I wasn't sure if anyone would even be interested. But I asked around on Facebook, and a few people did express interest, so I decided to go ahead and do it because I've always wanted to analyze this one. DMac is my favorite. He's my favorite Predator now. He's taken Lauren's position as number one in my mind. There's obviously there's more material with Lauren, but DMac's I'm almost surprised that we haven't invented a religion around DMac, because there's some good stuff in here. This is probably my favorite police interview to watch. I have watched it over and over and over. I've definitely watched this one the most out of all of them because it's just such a good interview to watch. The interview is really sharp, really. I've said in other videos that of other predators that I wasn't. There's definitely been a big variety of police that we've seen interview these guys, and some have been not that great, and then some have been really good, like this guy John who interviews him. He's a very good interviewer, very good interrogator. Uses some very clever tactics to get Dustin to open up, which we'll see. This video, I I already know it's going to go into several parts because this interview is an hour and a half long, and if I do it 30 minutes at a time, I could easily see this going to at least 4 parts, if not more. But we'll just kind of see how it goes, and I'll do as many because I'll do the whole thing because I love watching this interview. There's so much interesting stuff in it. So without further ado, let's get started.
I got an interviewer who's going to come in here and talk to you in private in a few minutes.
I think I must have skipped the very beginning. He said before this guy says that, he says something like, and I never would hurt anybody. I never imagined I'd be arrested. Which, yeah, I bet he never did imagine that he would be arrested, that there would actually be some consequences to the things that he has done. I There's definitely manipulation going on throughout the interview on Dustin's part, but I honestly believe there's genuine fear there. He obviously has never been. I know there was that other situation he had where he had to apologize over the phone or something, but that really, and obviously that's a scary situation where you could potentially be in some legal trouble, but that doesn't even scratch the surface of what somebody goes through when they are in trouble as serious as Dustin's in trouble right now. It's a whole other thing, and it's for somebody who's new to it, it's definitely a terrifying thing. So I believe Dustin is terrified here. And he also knows exactly what he did wrong, which we'll see. So let's move on.
This day gets worse to worse.
They're about to come in here with the big.
I never imagined of hurting anybody, and I never imagined I'd be.
Oh, I was wrong. I guess I didn't skip that part.
Police station.
Yeah, see what he's trying to do there is he's by kind of talking to that guy while he's in there, he is looking for an ally. That's all he wants right now, is he is looking for somebody to feel sorry for him, to be on his side and be like, you know what, you don't belong here. Let's get this guy out of here. That's what he'll attach to any person that walks into that room. He will try to make that connection with them, and that's what he's trying to do right there. And of course this guy isn't really responding, so then when the interrogator comes in, of course it moves on to him. Ah, that's so awkward. I mean, what else can you do, really, but just sit there? It's...
All right.
Alright, let's get started.
Evening, Dustin.
So, can't believe I'm here. I can't believe I even.
Well, stuff happens. We'll have a chance to talk
I
about
mean, I've never hurt anybody, sir.
it. Okay.
And I mean,
I'm not saying you're hurting anybody.
yeah,
Just slow down. I'm going to have to get some information from you, okay?
I don't. I just.
You know who I am?
No.
And you're sitting here telling me your whole life story. Just hold on a sec, okay?
That, that I probably told John right there that, oh yeah, this guy's gonna... In fact, I kind of got a little smile on his face. Look at that. Like, this guy's gonna talk to me, because the minute... What did I just say? He's gonna, try to attach to the next person that he comes across. And then John walks in and Dustin can't keep his mouth shut. He's ready to talk to somebody. He's ready to talk this out. What he doesn't understand is that talking is going to end up burying him. But yeah, he's definitely ready to spill his guts. So let's move on.
I'm too honest about everything,
Okay.
sir. And
Well, we'll get a chance to talk all about
I mean,
all that.
you can see that.
You want a water?
No,
Okay.
I'll probably throw it up right now.
Well, it's there if you want it.
I'll
Well,
throw
just
it up.
relax, man. Just relax, okay? Just calm down, all right?
'Cause, I mean,
We're just going to talk a little bit, all right? I'm going to get some information from you real quick.
like the Dateline NBC guy, I told him.
Well, I'm not with Dateline,
I'm an
okay?
idiot.
I'm not with Dateline. My name is John, all right?
Okay.
My name is John Dudinsky. I'm with Kentucky Bureau of Investigation, now the Attorney General's office, okay? I'm an agent, and which means I'm a policeman, okay? Ain't no reason to be all nervous or anything. All we're going to do is we're going to talk. I'm going to get your name and stuff, all right?
I'm just.
All right.
The reason I'm nervous is because, honestly, this can kill my mama.
Okay.
I am an only child.
Well,
There's definitely manipulation going on Dustin's part throughout this interview, but I do believe that emotion that he's showing here, it is genuine. He is kind of having to process the fact that, he's going to be on national TV for, everybody that he's ever known, ever heard of, ever is going to know about this. That's quite a lot to process. He knows that it's going to, kill his mother. He just mentioned he's an only child, and, he still lives with his mom, so he's probably a bit of a mama's boy, still kind of attached, really to his mother, and can't, hasn't really established independence yet. So, and he knows what that will do to, to any mother. He knows what it'll do. And so I think there's definitely some guilt and some shame going on there that is genuine. And then in a little bit, when he talks about, which I'll get to, so yeah, there's definitely some genuine emotion coming out.
let's do this. You sound like you want to talk to me, okay? And I want to hear what you have to say, but until I tell you this, we need to...
I don't want to get to jail because I couldn't deal without having the jail.
I understand that.
Because, I can't walk without this.
I understand. Okay. Before I ask you any questions, you got to know your rights, okay? You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say may be used against you in court or in other proceedings. You have the right to have an attorney before you make any statement or answer any questions. You can have your attorney present during questioning. You may request a court to appoint an attorney for you if you cannot afford to hire one. All right? If you start talking to me and you want to quit talking, you can stop at any time by refusing to answer questions or by requesting consultation with your attorney. All right?
I don't like lawyers, and I'll be honest,
You don't like lawyers.
no.
All right. What this says here.
Isn't that music to a cop's ears? Yeah, I've mentioned this in other videos that, people say, why do they talk? Why do they talk? Why don't they just, why do they waive their rights? And it's really because, in Dustin's case, it's just because, he's so afraid. He's never been through this before. And even though John's sitting there reading him exactly what his rights are, every one of us could recite our Miranda rights by memory. We've all heard it a million times, on TV, everywhere. So it's like when you are actually having those words read to you in a real situation, a lot of times you're just not really processing it. Even though they say, your words can and will be used against you, you're not really hearing it. He's just, in his case, he's going along because he thinks if he's cooperative, that things will be better for him. And obviously, that's not going to turn out to happen. But that's why, in this case, he chose to talk. Because, like I said, from the very beginning, he was ready to spill his guts. He's just looking for a friend. He's looking for somebody to bail him out of this, and that's what he's hoping John is going to do, which obviously he's not. Let's move on.
Is that I've read you your rights. Do you understand them?
Yes, sir.
You understand that you can stop talking at any time
Yes,
you want to. You can have an attorney. You can have an attorney with you during questioning. It's 11:09.
Yeah, I forgot it's the time change.
Yeah, we're on Central
Damn, he
Time.
crossed a time zone to meet Laura. Even Lauren didn't do that.
I did a lot of wrong.
Okay. If you understand your rights, as I've read them to you, if you'll sign right here for me where it says signature.
Something I've ever done.
Oh, he's a lefty. I'm a lefty.
Now this waiver down here says that you having the above statement of your rights read and explained to you and you fully understand them, and that's correct, right?
Correct.
You hereby waive these rights at 11:10 p.m. and you're wanting to talk to me, correct?
Yes, sir. I will.
He's got to be tired. I just recently read the whole chat log. It took me a few tries to get through the entire chat log because I am like a broken record when I talk about his chat log, but it took me a few tries to get through because his chat decoy is just so annoying. She's like easily the most annoying one out of all the chat logs I've read. His is the most annoying to read because of the decoy. So it took me a few tries to get through it. But I did recently actually read the whole thing, and wow, kind of lost my train of thought there. What was I talking about? Let's see, where are we at in the...
The really bad part of this?
Oh, I was talking about how the time frame of the day that he drove up, because I believe he was driving up after he got off of work at like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and then this was like a 5-hour drive for him. So he works all day, gets off, drives 5 hours, gets to the house, meets Dateline, gets arrested, taken to the police station. So I mean, he's got to be exhausted. That's another thing that sometimes lowers your defenses a little bit. I mean, not in every case, but in this case, it kind of lowers his defenses, the fact that he's got to be, pretty fatigued at this point, and that can also, sort of impair you into thinking clearly, as well as the stress of the situation.
The Daylight on the NBC guy said I wouldn't be under arrest. I could leave.
Hold on a second. Just
That's
sound
not
right
up
there.
to him,
Dateline
Dustin.
doesn't work for us. They're not policemen. They're news people.
I know, but that's just wrong that he lied to me.
Right. Well,
Which, I mean, I
we'll talk
understand.
about that in a minute.
I understand why I'm here,
Right.
but he shouldn't have lied to me.
See, that one line from Dustin is really, really interesting. It really shows that there is clarity there. He understands exactly what he did and exactly why he's been put under arrest. He knows it. He is definitely, as we move on, he plays up this. I mean, I don't think that his persona is a complete put on, but I think he's kind of playing up the fact that he's soft spoken, that he's got this East Tennessee accent, that he sounds like, to hear Dustin talk in a conversation outside of something like this, you would think, oh, he just sounds like a nice sweet country guy. I'm being on it. I can't do a good accent, but but I mean, you would never think that this guy would be threatening in any way. And I think he definitely tries to enhance those aspects that he already possesses to try to make him look. But the way he said that right there, it just kind of shows the real Dustin is shining through a little bit there. Like he knows exactly what he did.
Right.
He should have said, well, you are under arrest. Like I said.
Okay. I'm going to turn this on real quick.
Yeah, and by whining about Chris Hansen, quote, lying to him, which he didn't, because all he says is that, you're free to go. He's free to leave from the Dateline people because they can't arrest him. But in what he's doing here, that's just kind of a desperate attempt to now start pointing out what everybody else did wrong to try to get the blame off himself. Like, well, I did wrong, but he shouldn't have lied to, it's just another tactic by people who do these sorts of things, or any sort of things that get them into legal trouble, is to try to push the blame off onto somebody else.
All right, then.
I thought you were videotaping.
Oh, they are.
I'm old-fashioned, man.
Okay. Why'd you go digital?
Yeah. I didn't know what this was when I saw it. I was like, where you put the tape in?
Yeah, I was supposed to buy my buddy one of those this week so he could write his book.
Oh, yeah?
He can write his book. Sorry, that always makes me laugh. Like, I feel bad, like, making fun of his accent and stuff, because there's plenty of perfectly nice and wonderful people that have, an East Tennessee accent. But, I mean, come on. I mean, and, nor would I make fun of somebody for having a disability, but, I mean, come on, you got to admit, there's something funny about a guy, with this thick, country accent, who walks with a cane, has cerebral palsy, who's out there trying to, molest children. I mean, come on, guys. It's kind of like the Kevin Westerbeck thing. I mean, would I make fun of people who are short as a rule? No, of course not. Somebody who's like, I don't know if he was like technically like a dwarf or whatever, but no, of course not. But I mean, in that context, come on, it's funny. So that's the kind of thing that I mean here. So hopefully nobody is offended by that. So moving on. Yeah, John's using a good Dustin's opening up to him a little bit, and he's, so he's trying the tactic of just talking to him like he's a buddy, and, to get him to open up. And so far, it's pretty effective.
He's gonna write a book?
Yeah, he's a wrestler, but I won't mention no names because that don't need to be
all right.
anywhere.
Well, it's 2311, and
It's that Ricky Morton guy, right?
Dustin. What's your last name, Dustin?
McPhetridge.
McPhetridge?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the whole world will find me easily.
All right.
Yep, they sure will.
I don't want trouble. I don't like trouble. I'd have never hurt her. I was going to meet her. I wasn't going to force her into anything.
DMac, if you don't like trouble, you probably should not try to molest kids, and you probably shouldn't download child porn. It just a thought, just a crazy idea there.
And this morning, I think it was 11:12 Eastern time, she had called me and, come see me, please, because my parents are going to be out of town, please. I'm like, okay, I thought she was going to call and we was going to talk and discuss stuff and everything, because she has called me a few times.
That's such a lie. They can verify that easily by looking at the chat log. Like, no, he did. That's not how it went, No, he was fully planning on. I don't even know why. This entire interview, I don't know if he says one thing that, well, maybe a line here or there, but this entire interview, he's just making it up as he goes along, and it is kind of funny just continuing to watch it, just seeing himself kind of dig himself deeper and deeper and deeper.
And I mean, it was out of the ordinary, and like the NBC guy said, she said she was 13. I thought she was 17. Sometimes I have a bad memory. I know 17 under the limit too.
Okay, yeah, this memory thing bugs me because he brings it up a couple times. I think he says a little bit later the cerebral palsy adds or affects can affect the memory, but then later on in the interview he just rattles off his license plate number and says other stuff that indicates that there's nothing wrong with his memory that I can see from this interview. So that's just complete bullshit. And again, that's easily verified by he must not, he maybe does not realize yet that they have the chat logs. Because it probably, even though he knows it was an investigation and that it was Dateline and he knows now he's in some legal trouble, he may still is probably not processed like what was involved in this sting, the fact that they're gonna have the chat logs and recordings of the telephone calls. And so that's why he's just trying to, because you can easily just read the chat log and see he knew the entire time that she was 13, referred to it many times. So yeah, that excuse is just it's not going to hold water. Oopsie, where'd we go here? Okay,
I was talking to her, and I was thinking, okay, she turned 17, and then when she turns 18, I'll meet her.
Oh, bullshit, Dustin, you're full of it.
Everything's meant to be then.
Well, you're kind of starting like just tell me the whole story out there, but not from the beginning. Why don't you start from the beginning of how you met her? And
okay, I can. I was just being honest.
Well, be honest from the beginning.
Yeah,
like I said, you jumbled it all up there for me. Start from the beginning. How'd you happen to meet her?
Yeah, the just being honest thing. We all know that we're going to hear that about 1,000 more times before the end of this. I wonder, I don't have the patience to do it myself, but somebody should go through and count how many times he says, I'm just being honest. I would guess like 50, if not more. That might be actually a lowball estimate, but I would guess he says that exact phrase about 50 times throughout this interview, because it's like every other sentence he's saying it, and it's just a complete fabrication. That's like lying 101, sound believable. If you keep saying I swear to God or I'm being honest, then you're not. Dustin is a terrible, terrible liar, which is awesome because it gives us this this lovely conversation here that we get to analyze and discuss and watch over and over.
Okay, I was in a Yahoo chat room. Tennessee chat room.
Tennessee chat room.
Yeah, it was a Tennessee chat room. It was probably 1, 2, 5, 7, or 9. That's usually ones I go through. And I mean, I've only talked to one other underage girl, and that was a problem, like I told the NBC guy.
Well, we'll get to that. Tell me about this girl.
Yeah, okay, I am. I'm just trying to explain everything, and I'm bad at telling stories.
All right.
I met her, I talked to her some, and she was real friendly, real nice, and everything. And like I said, I thought she said she was 17. There's no problem with talking to somebody or calling somebody at the age. I don't think there is there?
No, I mean, no problem talking to somebody who's 17, but
yeah.
Go ahead.
I mean, well, I'm asking the law.
Oh yeah, that's a nice attempt to outsmart the cop, Dustin, please. I mean, he's really sticking to, made the decision, the tactical decision right here, that he is going to stick to the story that, he believed she was 17. That's what he's doing right now. And so he's sort of trying to divert, or direct the conversation in that direction, that, oh, well, she was 17. Well, I didn't think that was bad. Is it? And he's wanting the cop to say, oh no, that's no problem, you can call her on the phone, yeah, that's not illegal, nothing illegal about that. That's the response that he wants, and then he would play off of that. And but John is, Dustin, he's not a stupid person. There is some intellect there. There is some, you know there's some calculations there. But he is not smart enough, does not know enough about the ways of the legal system to be able to outsmart the cop. John is very good at what he does, and it's just not going to happen. So it's just really funny to watch him try and fail miserably.
Because I'm not. I know you can't do nothing with anybody under 18 if you're over 18. I know that much.
Okay.
I didn't know if it was bad for me to pick up the phone and talk to a 17-year-old and say, hey, how are you? I didn't know.
So you're talking to her?
Yeah, we're friends.
Yeah,
and
John's not laughing,
being
Dustin.
Sweet and joking around and stuff. And I mean, it's in.
Did you ever see her?
I seen photo of her or something on her MySpace.
Okay.
And
Did she ever see you?
I gave her my MySpace page. I mean, I share information.
Right.
I'm a very open person. I mean, like I told her a few days after we started talking, yeah, I have cerebral palsy. I walk with a cane. I don't know if I told her about my hand or not. Stuff like that.
I think he did mention that his hand isn't good. Yeah, he's trying to go the direction he's going in now, is that, oh, I'm an open person. I just, people ask me questions and I tell them. I just, he's trying to make himself, and it'll expand a little bit. He's trying to make himself look like a stand-up guy, and he's trying to blame everything on the decoy when it comes down to it, which, that's real classy. I mean, you talk to this girl for, for a month, telling her that you're, and he probably didn't really, I wonder if, because we know, like, with Lorne really believed that he had a girlfriend that he was, like, passionately in love with, that he was going to spend the rest of his life with. Like, Lorne really, really believed that. I wonder how much Dustin did. I wonder if he really believed that, if she was real, that she, that she was going to be his girlfriend for life, or was he just saying that stuff to her just to, try to get her into bed? Was he talking to, because we know that a lot of these guys, they're not just talking to the decoy, they're probably talking to a bunch of other underage kids too. Like in Lauren's case, he wasn't. He just found, Kayla, and then that was that. So I wonder if he really believed that. But that's kind of, that's real classy. Like, you start talking to what you perceive as a 13-year-old girl, and then when you get caught out for it, you're just like, oh, well, it's all her fault. It's all her fault. I mean, come on. Like, and he knows I wonder if he realized by this point that the girl didn't exist, that she was fake, or if he thinks that there was a real girl and NBC did an investigation around that. He may not, he may not quite realize that, because that, that's one thing where I think Lorne gets a one-up on him, because Lorne, I don't think, would, if he had gone ahead with his interview and talked to the cop, I don't think he would have tried to blame Kayla for the whole thing, because he really felt like, even though he wasn't, he really felt like he was in love with her. So Lorne, yeah, actually a little bit classier than DMac when it comes to that. That's an interesting thing to look at. I never really thought about that until I started talking about this. But yeah, that's what he's doing here, is he's just trying to blame it all on the decoy. Let's keep going.
Yeah, I'm very open. I don't want to hurt nobody, and I like to make friends. The internet's the best way I can make friends because people look bad upon me like I'm retarded or something in person. So it's hard to make friends other than that.
Okay, this is interesting. A lot people have debated about this right here, where he starts to break down a little bit about his condition and about how it's hard to make friends. Some people think that he's just completely faking his emotion, faking his tears, and I I don't think he is. I think that emotion is genuine. I think that he probably really does feel that way because we know that that's true. People see somebody like, because it's not an uncommon thing for a physical disability and a mental disability to go hand in hand. Often they do, not in all cases, obviously. And I'm far from an expert on this, but from having worked retail for many years, I have worked with many, many people who have had some kind of disability, because the company I worked for hired a lot of people with disabilities, and it's, it's not an uncommon thing for there to be both a mental and a physical one. So people would look at Dustin and see that he's physically challenged and think the assumption might be that there's something wrong with his mind as well, and there's obviously not. There's no disability with Dustin's brain. There's nothing wrong with it. He's perfectly, you know moderately intelligent. He's fine there. So I think this is really how he feels. Does he use his condition as kind of a tool to try to manipulate and to try to wiggle his way out of it? Absolutely. He absolutely does. He plays up on it a lot. But I don't think this is a fabrication. I think this is real emotion.
There's a lot of bad stuff that happens on the internet like this, and people lie, but you can make some good friends on there. And it's just, and then we just started talking, and I don't know, I lost my head. I done something stupid and stuff, and I egged it on, and she encouraged, and she egged a little bit, and like I said, today, she egged me coming up here.
This phrase drives me crazy when he says she encouraged it and she egged it a little bit. Obviously the phrase egg somebody on, that's a common phrase, but I've never heard it used like that, where he says she egged me coming up here. She egged me. That's just a really weird, I don't know if that's maybe like a regional usage or something, but I've never heard that before, so that's just weird to me. And again, here he is trying to blame it on the decoy, like, oh, she just wanted me to come so bad, and I just came because I'm such a nice guy. Yeah, nice try, Dustin, but John's not falling for it.
I didn't have no plans of doing it. I really didn't want to, but she's a sweet person, and I didn't want to upset her. And that was stupid. I should have told her no, and if she got mad, oh well. But I wasn't thinking.
Yeah, you do not drive for 5 hours to stop by somebody's house just to not make them mad. If they live 5 minutes away, yeah, maybe just stop by and whatever. If that was really what it was, which we all know it's not. But no, you do not drive for 5 hours just to avoid making some girl that you don't even give a shit about, to make them get not mad at you. That doesn't fly. I kind of wish John had brought up the fact that he drove so far, because that is kind of a way to call him on his story, is that you drove 5 hours just so they wouldn't get mad at you. That's a long ass drive. So no, sorry, Dustin, doesn't hold up.
Like, okay, yeah, I'll meet her, hang out. Nothing bad. Stupid thing is, I've heard reports like this in Virginia and other states and stuff like that. And these weirdos will bring ropes and knives and stuff.
So now what he's doing is, he's comparing it to the other, he's seen other Dateline investigations, and he's kind of clinging on to some of those guys have brought weapons, brought ropes, knives, whatever, we saw with some of the predators from the other investigations. I didn't do that. I didn't bring any of that stuff. So I'm not like them. I'm not as bad as them. He's trying to use that tactic. But what John does is he turns it around on him pretty cleverly. Let's move on, and then I'll talk about that a little bit more.
I didn't bring.
Do you have anything like that in your car?
No.
Would you mind if we looked in your car?
I'll be honest, tell you everything that's in it, as far as I know.
Well, what I'd like to do is get you to say it's okay for us to look in your car.
Yeah, it's fine.
Because we want to verify that you didn't bring nothing to kill her or anything.
No, the only...
That's... The first time I watched this interview, when John said that, I was like, come on, really? Like, you really think... Look at DMac. You don't really think that he was going to kill somebody, do you? I mean, come on. It wasn't until I watched it a few more times and I watched some of the analysis of it that I realized that no, he's just using a tactic. He doesn't really think that Dustin was going to try to kill somebody. He is trying to get... it's a tactic of getting him to admit to something lesser by implying that they suspect that he is, that he is capable of doing something more. That's a common police tactic. And so I learned something by, watching other people's videos. Because I've said it before, I'm by no means any kind of expert on, police techniques, on interrogation techniques, anything like that. I've learned a lot, like I just said, just from watching some of these videos, this one as well as some of the other ones out there. So, the things I say, it's just my take on it. I'm not always going to know 100% what I'm talking about. But there are, some things that you can definitely see that is clearly a technique on the cop's part. So I'm definitely still learning about this stuff. But it's very good how John kind of turned that around on him to use it as that, because that's a good tactic, like saying, oh shit, they think I might be a killer. Well, let me just tell them what I was really doing so they don't think that. It's a very good tactic from the cop there.
Bad things I brought was my electric razor.
Mm-hmm.
Because she said she wanted to be shaved down there, and I don't know why I did that.
Well, you just said why you did that. You said that because you wanted to shave the girl. I mean, oh my god, this guy.
And I think I can't remember. I thought I brought some hand moisturizer or KY jelly. I don't know which it is.
Okay.
I can't remember.
What was that for?
I don't know. I don't know why I even brought it. I wasn't thinking.
Oh, whatever. Hand moisturizer does not look anything like KY jelly. That's just ridiculous. And we all know it was the KY jelly, so why is he even bothering with that? That's just stupid.
I just picked it up.
Hey, Justin, if
everyone's noticed that he slips and he calls him Justin here, and that kind of tells you it. If Dustin were maybe in a better frame of mind or were a little bit smarter, he should have realized right there that, hey, wait a minute, this guy's not my friend, he's not my buddy, not trying to get me out of trouble. This guy literally, just, got my name in my file probably 5 minutes before he walked into this room, and, he doesn't even remember what my first name is. Like, this guy's not my friend, so maybe I should stop, but he's just not in the right mindset, and I don't think that he is smart enough to pick up on that. And again, not that I don't think Dustin is a stupid person. I think he's moderately intelligent, a lot more so than I think he lets show here. But yeah, that's just he probably wouldn't have caught that anyway. But that's just that right there should tell Dustin where he stands with this guy.
If we're going to talk and be honest with each other,
I am.
okay.
I'm running at almost 40 minutes. I guess I'll go to 45 minutes with this because I'm 12:21 into the video, and this runs for an hour and 28 minutes. So, yeah, this video is definitely going to get split up into a few parts. But yeah, I'll run to 45 minutes and then I'll stop and leave off till part 2. So let's continue.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I know where you're coming from.
Yeah.
It's hard to meet people. Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
I
picked it up.
Okay, hold on a sec. I know how hard it is to meet people. See that? I'm 40 years old. You know what I mean? I try and meet people all the time.
Never
I understand what it's like to get on the internet. You know what I mean? To meet people. Okay? I understand what it's like to go visit people. But I never get in my car and throw KY jelly in there without a reason. All right?
But I
He's
mean,
right
Why
about
did you
that.
throw the KY jelly in the car?
I don't, like I said, I don't know if it's KY or
Okay.
hand lotion. I don't
Okay,
know.
what were you going to use it for? You can, one's for sex, one's for washing your hands. You weren't going to wash your hands with KY, right?
No.
Just as an aside, when he says washing your hands, I think it was in Base Shaman's analysis. He's like, washing your hands, is that like I think he says is like that in East Coast regionalism or something. No, that's actually a Southern pronunciation. I actually grew up pronouncing the word wash when I was younger because my parents were both Southern, so I had a bit of a Southern accent when I was a kid that I grew out of because I have lived in Florida my whole life. But yeah, that's a Southern pronunciation, just in case anybody was wondering. I just thought that was and so this, I've wondered why, because John is really pushing for the answer about the KY jelly. So he obviously really needs for Dustin to admit the truth of what he was doing there, of what his intentions were. I've seen on Perverted Justice's website, I have seen them say that these cases are usually very easy to prosecute, but I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's just what they're told to say or that's just what they say to the public, because we all know there's been plenty of times where, obviously in the Murphy sting, none of the cases were prosecuted, but there's been other cases in other states where the case was dropped, the charges were dropped, whatever, the, guy got out of it, and not, in other cases, they didn't. So I don't think that these are as easy to prosecute as maybe Perverted Justice would like us to think, because I don't think that John would spend so much time on this KY jelly thing, because this goes on for a little bit, unless he really needed for Dustin to admit to that. So he obviously really needs him to, make that admission to make the case stronger. That's, I have to assume that, because otherwise, why would he waste his time with that? Let's move on.
What were you going to use it for?
I guess.
Was it in case you had sex with her?
Yeah, but I was going to try not to.
I understand
But
that.
I'm being honest.
I understand you got it.
I mean,
I'm a man too. You got to try and resist, right?
yeah, it's hard.
But if it would have happened,
I'd-
you had the KY jelly, you were prepared.
yeah, but I mean, I ain't going to lie to you. And I mean,
Okay, well, let's do
I
this.
don't know.
Let's do this right here.
Like I said, I'm an idiot.
Okay.
And I mean,
Well, I'm not calling you an idiot, you know?
I'm calling myself.
Well, I'm not going to call you one. I'm going to sit here and I'm going to listen to your story, okay? And we're going to talk about a few things that are in your chat just to make sure everything's okay. What kind of vehicle are you driving tonight?
A 2005 PT Cruiser, and it's actually in my mother's name and my name.
What color is it?
Depends on how the sun hits it. It's a bluish purple.
Okay.
I'm being honest. It's a weird color.
I always thought it was funny that he said, I'm being honest there. Why would he lie about the color of his car? I mean, they've got the car there at the station, I would assume, or at an impound lot or something. So that always kind of puzzled me.
I've seen one other one like it.
Tennessee tags?
Yes.
So they mute out the audio for the tags.
It's good memory.
Well,
See,
I
he
come up with the same. Go
I
with
couldn't tell you the plate number of my
But I-
truck, and I've had it for 5 years.
it.
Somebody ever steals it, I'm in trouble.
see. I wish he doesn't, but I wish John had called him on his story here, because right here he said earlier, oh, I thought she was 17. Sometimes I have a bad memory. But then he's able to rattle off his plate number under this much duress, under stress, under, this and that. He's able to rattle that off. So I wish he had brought that up and kind of called him on the whole I don't have a good memory thing, because he goes back to the good memory thing when we get later into the interview, when they start talking about the previous case with the other girl and all that stuff. He starts going back to, oh well, my memory's bad, I don't remember her name or any of that. But yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and stop it here. We've only just begun to scratch the surface. There is a wealth of things to analyze in the rest of this video, which I'm looking forward to going through. So we've only just gotten started, so I can't wait to tackle the rest of this. But yeah, so I'm gonna leave it here for now. So until next time, this has been Lily Luna, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.